was in Fernie snowboarding and happened across, I met a guy from New Zealand who was, we just happened to talk about, wind sports. At that time I was, really into windsurfing and, still love the sport. And I was a bit frustrated because I wanted to, actually try to windsurf on the snow, which was extremely difficult. So I was telling him I made a whole bunch of contraptions, and my friends made all sorts of devices with skis, and it really didn't work that well. I mean, it's okay, you can go in a straight line, but it was rather boring. He told me he flies kites, and these kites, he sits in a three-wheel buggy, and I guess I had no idea what he was talking about. We went out to a lake near Fernie, and he happened to bring along a couple kites with him, and these are two-line kites, and we actually stacked them one on top of each other. We tried it with a couple snowboards just to see if it would actually work. So I had my windsurf gear and he had his kiting equipment, and we put it together. Next thing you know, we're actually snowboarding with kites, and we actually absolutely couldn't believe it. So he was wondering where I came from. I said, well, I'm from Regina, Saskatchewan. He said, what's it like? Well, it's windy all the time and lots of snow and no fences. And so he was quite excited about the whole aspect of the wind and the snow. So next thing you know, he packed up his motorhome and came and stayed with me for a couple months in the wintertime. So all winter long, we just got to fool around with kites in the wintertime. And at that time, the sport was really kind of taking off. These two fellows from France actually invented what we now call an inflatable kite. You pump it up full of air. And that's more or less what everyone these days are riding on, that and different, there's airfoils and different versions and flavors of kites now. But yeah, so when we started off, there's no manuals, there's no videotapes, there's nothing. So we really got kind of, we got into a few incidents where you're absolutely out of control, you didn't really know what you're doing. Kiteboarding has only been around in the world for 15 years, and in those 15 years it's only been in the last 5 or 6 years that we've gone from a two-line kite to a four-line kite, meaning that we can sheet away all of the extra power. Before, in our Saskatchewan gusty conditions, it used to be 40 gusting 60. Now we can actually sheet away all of that extra power. Before, we couldn't sheet away any of that power, so we'd actually get lifted up and just hauled downwind, and there's nothing that we could do about it. It's all matching the right kite with the right board on the right day. That's pretty much what kiting is.
You definitely want to do an instructional with a proper instructor, or if you're not going to go that route, you have to go the trainer kite, the small kite route, and really learn it slowly. Wind can be, it's invisible for, like, we can't really see it, right? We see it when the tree's moving, we can feel it, but there's no guarantees that it's not going to pick up or drop off, or a storm comes in, that'll increase the wind speeds in a hurry. And if you're not aware of those things, it's not like dirt biking, where your motorbike's so big, it's not going to grow on you, it's not going to get any more, powerful, it's not going to sprout any extra power or anything. But the wind can certainly, when a storm moves in, it can double quite quickly, and if that's happens, well, you don't want to be out there learning this thing. You want to know what you're doing. So, yeah, it's just really important that you take it slow with this sport.
Once you get hurt, you kind of know not to do that again. If you're just learning and you crash your kite and you get launched, that's just part of learning, is getting hurt and going through the process of being a kiter.
since about 2003 we started. We were in Mexico and saw a couple guys out on the water, and I figured, you know, it'd be something fun that me and my boy could do together. And I took him out in the winter, and he tried it out. He really enjoyed it. He excelled really fast. The younger they are, the faster they excel. You can get them going as early as 8 years old. I think he was around 10. He picked it up really quick. He's as good as me in half the time. It's amazing. He's doing really good.
Showing off is one of the things about kiteboarding. Once you get good, you like to show off. By the end of this year, I want to be doing a back roll kite loop. So you're doing pretty much a 360 except faster, and you throw your kite and you get launched forward.
When you fly a kite, you control it with a bar like you would when you're wakeboarding and water skiing. You hang onto a bar, but the power doesn't go through that bar. All the power gets transferred around that bar and to a harness. This is a harness. You strap them on around your waist, you hook it up, and the power of the kite goes to this hook. So all you do with your arms is steering. You're turning the kite left or right, getting it into the wind, changing direction with the bar by pulling on the ends. But all the power goes through to here. In the old days, it was really hard to get unhooked. So if you got into trouble, you got dragged into things, into rocks or whatever. Now all the kites have a safety system where you can release it and you quickly get out of it. This is a kiteboard, sort of a standard shape of a kiteboard. Looks sort of like a wakeboard, but you'll notice it's not as much rocker. It's very flat compared to a wakeboard. There's a little concave in the bottom, just standard 4-fin arrangement, 2-inch fins. On a wakeboard, you'd have a boot. Here we have a sandal strap. You can use boots in kiteboarding, but really, if you have something go wrong, you want to get out of the board, you want to be able to kick it off. So really, your feet are just in the sandal strap that you can adjust, and that's all that holds it on. The kites themselves, there's a tube kite behind me. There's foil type kites. There's pros and cons to both styles of kites, and you'll see mainly water people riding tubes, and you'll see a lot of winter people riding the foils because you don't have to pump them up. When it's 30 below, it's a lot easier on your fingers.
Where he's coming from.
Well, it's a sport that as much as I really want to see it grow, I want to see it, I'd love to see everybody doing it, but I do not want a big rush of people getting into the sport, skipping steps, and not being mindful of